So much for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka, and looking at our stories. The year-on-year inflation for the month of September 2024 has increased to 21.5% from 20.4% recorded in the month of August 2024. The Ghana Statistical Service has attributed the increase to a rise in food inflation. Food inflation surged to 22.1% from 19.1% in August 2024. Before the current increase, inflation had gone down for 5 consecutive months. More in this report.
Before the current increase, inflation had gone down for 5 consecutive months. The report revealed that inflation on locally produced items and imported items also increased. Inflation on imported items increased to 17% from 16.1% in August, whereas locally produced items recorded an inflation of 23.4% from 22.2% in August 2024. Here is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina-Anim.
In the month of September 2024, year-on-year rate of inflation stood at 21.5%, indicating that between September 2023 and September 2024, the average price levels of goods and services went up by 21.5%. On a year-on-year basis, for September 2024, prices of goods and services went up by 21.5%. This indicates a 1.1 percentage point variation between the year-on-year inflation that was recorded in August 2024, which stood at 20.4%, relative to the 21.5% that has been recorded for September 2024. Disaggregating this from a food and non-food perspective, food inflation recorded a higher rate of 22.1%, while non-food inflation recorded 20.9% for the month of September 2024. While we are seeing an increasing rate for food inflation by 3.0 percentage points between August 2024 and September 2024, we see a marginal decline for non-food inflation as it declined by 0.6 percentage points from 21.5% in August 2024 to 20.9% in September 2024.
With the increase in food inflation to 22.1% from 19.1% in August, Professor Samuel Kobina-Anim urged government and other stakeholders to address seasonality challenges.
From a seasonality point of view, we see the influence of bumper harvest in the month of August and September. But we need to keep in mind that it peaks in August and slows down from September onwards. Its ability to contain the market in September depends on factors that we all know in terms of our ability to have stored enough and the extent to which we got second harvest during the rainy season. We're hoping that going forward we can address these seasonalities, as it's one of the, I would say, topical issues in the PFJ2 document, to ensure that as a country, seasonality does not influence the production of our agricultural products.
Restaurant and accommodation services recorded 27.9%, whereas alcoholic beverages, tobacco and narcotics recorded 27.6%. Also, housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels recorded 26.4%, education services at 23.7%, and health recorded 22.3%, as well as food and non-alcoholic beverages also recorded 22.1%. The items recorded higher inflation than the overall rate of inflation of 21.5% for September 2024. James Chen's report for Joy Business.
All right, so let's elevate the conversation further. Joining us on the back of this is Edward Kariwe, former General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. He joins us via phone. Thanks so much, Mr. Kariwe, for joining us on Business Live. Now, just when we thought inflation will continue to drop like it's been for the past 5 months now, we are learning inflation for the month of September increased to 21.5% from the 20.4% driven by rise in food inflation. Are you surprised by that?
Well, let me say good evening to all of you, and then to those who are listening to us. I think that I'm not surprised. What actually surprised me was that when prices of foodstuffs were skyrocketing, inflation was declining. That is 2-3 months back. And that was a surprise to me. But as it stands, under normal circumstances, between September, October, food prices are supposed to come down. And then that will have a significant influence on the national inflation. Unfortunately, if you look at the landscape of our agriculture, in terms of production capabilities, you realize that this year, 2024, we are not going to have any significant increase in food production in the country. And if our total output is going to fall, then of course it would push inflation up. So from now until December and then into next year, particularly the early part of the year, we should expect food inflation to continue to push the national inflation up.
That's surprising indeed. No, again, one was thinking that August, September, and of course October were mainly harvesting season, so food will be in abundance, therefore, or thereby basically forcing prices to fall. But that's not the case now, and you are also predicting that food prices will increase.
Yes, there are a number of factors, and they are all known to us. One, if you take government investment in agriculture for 2024 under the Platform for Food and Jobs 2.0, you will realize that that investment is not significant. And also, it came in very late. So it could not in any way influence the fortunes of agriculture because the supplies or the investments, the inputs came in late. Apart from that, if you take the other part of the country, apart from the northern part of the country, those areas have been inundated with galamsey. All their farmlands have been destroyed. That is for the foodstuffs and so on. And then all other infrastructure, water, forest, and the rest, which would have complemented the yield in the food production, have also been disturbed. And therefore, the southern part of the country, food output has fallen significantly because of the effects of galamsey. Now, unfortunately for Ghana, again, the northern part of the country, which spans from the Blue and Ahafo regions and the northern part of Volta region up to the extreme end of the north, you realize that suffered a drought. And then that drought, which they try to play down to say that it is a dry spell, also affected a substantial part of agricultural output. So you can see that our output coming from the north is constrained by the dry spell, and then output from the south is also constrained by the effects of galamsey. So this put together is going to give us less output as a totality for the country in terms of agricultural production for the year 2024. So food inflation will continue to be up, and then the general inflation, which is being driven by food inflation, will also be going up.
All right, it makes sense. But yesterday, the Minister for Food and Agriculture mentioned that it will be rolling out a set of measures to compensate farmers affected by the dry spell that hit parts of the country, including food grants for some 800,000 farmers, among other policy interventions. Now, do you think that this will go a long way to cause inflation to drop?
No, I just do not see it at all. These grants that government is giving out, which is coming from the Minister for Agriculture, I don't think that if the farmers were to produce themselves, they would have been taking the same quantity of food support that the ministry is giving to them. They would have been getting far more, and then there would have been more available to be pushed into the market. So what the ministry is doing and what government is doing is just to try and mitigate the effect of the dry spell on the farmers, particularly for those who have lost all their farms and they have nothing to eat. They could just support them. What about big farmers whose output has been constrained because of the dry spell? What about farmers who had their farms around the river basin, that is the Volta Basin and so on, which unfortunately were spared by the dry spell because once you are on the river basin, it takes time before that area of land gets dry. But after they have survived the dry spell, the spillage from the Bagri Dam also came and then destroyed those farms again. So what the ministry is doing and what government is doing so far is just to mitigate the situation, but it will not go a long way to bring down food prices at all.
All right. Thank you so much, former General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Kariwe. We appreciate your time here on Business Live. Away from that, Atlantic Lithium has described as unfortunate delays in getting Parliament to ratify its mining agreement with the country. The Australian company, which is expected to start mining at its Ewoyaa lithium project in the central region, is awaiting the ratification before it commences full work. Now, speaking to Joy Business at the 4th West African Mining Conference in Accra, the finance director of Atlantic Lithium, Amanda Harris, described the delay as a setback to the company's operational timelines.
So we've made excellent progress with our permitting. We got our EPA permit recently, and we're working to the mine operating permit. We're currently awaiting our parliamentary ratification. We have had the mining lease now for nearly 12 months, so it's been disappointing that the actual ratification of Parliament has taken this long. Unfortunately, we've had to make cuts to our staff and our spend because of that delay, and it's going to cause a delay to the project, to getting into production and actually getting the benefits for Ghana, for our local central region, and the fiscal benefits that are in the mining lease. So, so we're hoping that, I think Parliament's coming back on the 15th of October, which was announced yesterday. So hoping that then we can get ratified and actually get on with the project.
You're still watching Business Live. We have more for you after this break. That's all we have for you by way of Business Live. I am Pius Kojo-Baka. We have more stories for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. See you at 8 p.m. with Prime Business.